Ever wondered if ancient legends of great floods and sunken cities are more than just myths? What if I told you that scattered across Southeast Asia, from the islands of Indonesia all the way to Micronesia, there are mysterious, massive stone structures, monuments that appear right where people might have fled after a great cataclysm. These aren't just random piles of rocks. They're megalithic wonders that defy easy explanation and hint at a lost chapter of human history. Let's journey back in time, over 12,000 years ago. The world was a very different place. Vast ice sheets were melting, and sea levels were rising dramatically. A huge landmass, a continent now called Sundaland, connected what we know today as Malaysia, Indonesia, and Borneo. But as the waters rose, this continent slowly vanished beneath the waves, forcing its inhabitants to flee to higher ground. Could the survivors of this great flood be the architects of Southeast Asia's most enigmatic sites? Our first stop is Gunung Padang in West Java, Indonesia. This isn't just a hill. It's a colossal step pyramid built on top of an extinct volcano. Local legends call it a sacred place, and for a long time, archaeologists thought it was just a natural hill with some terraces on top. But recent studies have revealed something astonishing. Deep beneath the surface, there are man-made chambers and structures, built layer upon layer over thousands of years. Some researchers believe the oldest parts could date back over 20,000 years, potentially making it the oldest pyramid on Earth. Imagine a civilization with the knowledge and organization to build something on this scale, long before the pyramids of Egypt were even conceived. The sheer scale of Gunung Padang, with its massive, perfectly cut basalt columns, forces us to ask, who were these builders and what happened to them? Now, let's travel thousands of miles east across the Pacific to the remote island of Pohnpei in Micronesia. Here we find Nan Madol, a breathtaking ruined city often called the Venice of the Pacific, built on a series of 92 artificial islets in a shallow lagoon. Nan Madol is a maze of canals and towering walls made from enormous basalt logs. Some of these stones weigh over 50 tons. Think about that for a second. The local people have no memory of how it was built, only legends that speak of giants and powerful magic that made the stones fly into place. Modern engineering analysis has shown that moving and placing these stones would be a monumental task even today. How did an ancient society, seemingly without metal tools or advanced machinery, manage such a feat? The city was the ceremonial and political seat of the Sadalar dynasty, who ruled for over 1,000 years. But like Gunung Padang, its origins are shrouded in mystery. Some theories connect its construction to survivors of a sunken homeland, a place now lost beneath the waves. Could Nan Madol be a monument built by refugees from the drowned continent of Sunken, carrying their advanced building knowledge with them across the ocean? These incredible sites challenge our conventional timeline of human civilization. The standard view is that complex societies only emerged after the invention of agriculture around 10,000 years ago. But sites like Gunung Padang and Nan Madol suggest that advanced cultures might have existed much earlier. During the Ice Age, these were maritime cultures, masters of the sea, who were wiped out by the rising waters, leaving only fragments of their legacy behind. Of course, this is where we enter the fascinating world of speculation. Mainstream archaeology is cautious, and rightly so. Without more concrete evidence, these are just theories. But the circumstantial evidence is compelling. The alignment of these structures with celestial events, the sophisticated construction techniques, and their sheer age all point to a level of knowledge that seems out of place for their supposed time. It makes you wonder what else might be lying hidden, not just under jungle and earth, but beneath the sea itself. And that's where the stories come in. It's not just stones and ruins that hint at this lost world. In nearly every culture across Southeast Asia, from the mountains to the coasts, you find powerful, enduring legends of a great flood. These aren't just vague tales. They are detailed accounts of a drowned homeland, a paradise lost to the rising sea. In Indonesia, numerous ethnic groups have myths describing their ancestors arriving from a land that was swallowed by the ocean. They speak of a time when the mountains we see today were just islands in a vast sea. The stories often describe a cataclysmic event, a time of darkness and turmoil when the waters rose and consumed everything. These oral traditions, passed down through countless generations, are the cultural DNA of the people, preserving a memory of a real, traumatic event that shaped their world. Travel north to Malaysia, and you'll hear similar tales. Orang Asli, the indigenous people of the peninsula, have legends of a great flood that reshaped the landscape. Their stories speak of a former landmass that connected the islands, a land of plenty that was lost to the sea. They tell of ancestors who survived by fleeing to the highest mountain peaks, which then became the new coastlines. And in the Philippines, an archipelago of over 7,000 islands, the folklore is rich with tales of lost kingdoms beneath the sea. Myths like the story of the Sunken kingdom of Baringan City describe a mystical, invisible city that was once part of the physical world but is now hidden in another dimension, a parallel sometimes drawn with the ocean depths. These stories are so vivid, so deeply ingrained in the local culture, that they blur the line between myth and memory. What's truly fascinating is how closely these Southeast Asian flood myths parallel the famous story of Atlantis, as told by the Greek philosopher Plato, a technologically advanced, powerful island civilization, a moral decline, and a final, catastrophic destruction by water in a single day and night. The parallels are uncanny. Could Plato's story of Atlantis not be about a mythical city in the Atlantic, but a distorted memory of a real civilization in the East, the lost continent of Sunken? For a long time, scholars dismissed oral traditions as unreliable fables, but modern research shows that these stories can preserve the memory of real geological and historical events for thousands of years. With surprising accuracy, the stories of volcanic eruptions, tsunamis, and rising sea levels found in ancient myths often match up with geological data. These legends are not just fairy tales. They are a form of ancestral science, a way of recording and transmitting vital information about the world. When we combine the hard archaeological evidence of sites like Gunung Padang and Nan Madel with a rich tapestry of flood myths from across the region, a breathtaking picture begins to emerge. It's a picture of a lost world, a highly advanced maritime civilization that thrived during the last ice age, and a global cataclysm that erased it from history, leaving only mysterious ruins and lingering legends as clues. We are just beginning to rediscover this lost chapter of the human story, a story that reminds us that our past is far more mysterious and magnificent than we ever imagined. What do you think? Are these sites and stories the echoes of a real-life Atlantis in the Pacific? Have you ever looked at a map of Southeast Asia, at the islands of Sumatra, Java, and Borneo, and wondered if they were once connected? What if I told you there's an entire lost continent, a world teeming with ancient forests, mighty rivers, and strange creatures, now hidden beneath the waves? This isn't a myth, it's the story of Sundaland, a real-life Atlantis shaped by the last ice age. Imagine a world where massive ice sheets covered much of the northern hemisphere. This ice trapped colossal amounts of water, causing global sea levels to plummet by as much as 120 meters. As the oceans retreated, a vast landmass emerged, a megacontinent twice the size of India, connecting what we now know as the Malay Peninsula, Sumatra, Java, and Borneo into a single, continuous expanse. This was Sundaland wasn't a barren wasteland. Far from it. Thanks to its equatorial location, it was a lush, tropical paradise. Picture sprawling rainforests, much richer and more diverse than the ones we see today, stretching for thousands of kilometers. Think of vast fertile plains, like an ancient Serengeti, where herds of giant mammals roamed. Geologists have even mapped the ghost of this landscape. Today's seafloor maps reveal the shadows of enormous river systems that once flowed across this continent. The Norsunda River, for example, was one of the largest in the world. Its ancient channels still traceable on the ocean floor, flowing from the heart of Sundaland out into the South China Sea. These rivers were the lifeblood of the continent, carving valleys and nourishing the land. This incredible land bridge was a superhighway for life. It played a crucial role in one of the greatest animal migrations in Earth's history. For millions of years, creatures from mainland Asia could simply walk south, deep into the heart of what is now the Indonesian archipelago. This is why we find tigers in Sumatra but not Borneo, and why elephants and rhinos once roamed across these now separated islands. We see their legacy in the distribution of animals today. The famous Wallace Line, a boundary that separates Asian and Australian fauna, marks the eastern edge of Sunken. To the west, you have monkeys, tigers, and orangutans. To the east, in places like Sulawesi and New Guinea, you find a completely different world of marsupials, like kangaroos and cuscus. Sundaland was the final frontier for Asian animals, and it wasn't just animals that called this place home. Early humans were here, too. For tens of thousands of years, our ancestors thrived in this lost world. Sundaland offered everything they needed. Abundant fresh water from the giant rivers, plentiful game on the savanna-like plains, and rich resources from the dense forests. Archaeologists find evidence of their lives scattered across the region. Stone tools, ancient cave paintings, and human fossils like the famous Java man or Homo erectus tell the story of a long and successful human occupation. These weren't just scattered bands of hunter-gatherers. They were people living in a stable, resource-rich environment for millennia. Sundaland may have been one of the great cradles of early human innovation and culture in this part of the world. So how do we know all this? The evidence is all around us, if you know where to look. Geologists study ancient coastlines, now high and dry, that mark the shores of a lower sea. Marine scientists use sonar to map the submerged river valleys and deltas on the seafloor. Paleontologists uncover the fossilized bones of prehistoric megafauna giant elephants called saber-toothed cats, and enormous turtles dredged up from the ocean bottom by fishermen or found in caves that were once part of the Sundaland Plains. And geneticists can trace the lineage of modern plants and animals, revealing ancient connections that only make sense if the islands were once linked by land. But this world was not destined to last. Around 20,000 years ago, the great ice sheets began to melt. Over thousands of years, the sea levels started to rise again, slowly but relentlessly. Imagine watching the coastline creep inland, year after year, generation after generation. The vast plains were the first to go, turning into shallow seas. River valleys flooded, becoming straits and channels. The high ground, the mountains and volcanoes of Sundaland became the islands we recognize today. Sumatra, Java, Borneo. The flooding of Sundaland was one of the most dramatic climate change events in recent geological history. It completely reshaped the map of Southeast Asia and had a profound impact on the humans who lived there. As their world shrank, people were forced to retreat to higher ground. This great flood may even be the origin of the countless flood myths found in cultures throughout the region. Stories of a great deluge that wiped out the old world, forcing humanity to start anew. It's a powerful folk memory, a story passed down through countless generations, perhaps holding a kernel of truth about the day the sea rose to claim a continent. The story of Sundaland is a powerful reminder that the world we see today is just a snapshot in time. The coastlines we think of as permanent are constantly changing. Beneath the waves of the Java Sea and the South China Sea lies a lost world, a sunken continent that was once a vibrant center of life and human history. It is a testament to the immense power of our planet as climate, cycles, and a hidden chapter in the story of our own species. The next time you look at a map, remember the continents that aren't there. The world's hidden just beneath the surface. Around 12,000 years ago, the world melted, not in a fiery apocalypse, but in a watery one. A vast, ancient continent, a cradle of early human civilization, drowned beneath the waves. This is the story of Sundaland, a real-life Atlantis hidden in plain sight, and the sudden, catastrophic flood that changed everything. Imagine a world emerging from the grip of the last ice age. Massive glaciers, miles thick, that had locked up a staggering amount of the planet's water, were beginning to retreat. For thousands of years, sea levels had been over 100 meters lower than they are today. This was Sundaland, a subcontinent nearly the size of Europe, crisscrossed by mighty river systems and teeming with life. For generations, this was their world, a sprawling landmass that seemed as permanent as the stars. Geologists believe that during this period, colossal ice dams holding back immense glacial lakes in North America and Antarctica may have burst. The resulting deluge was biblical in scale. A mind-boggling amount of fresh water poured into the oceans, causing global sea levels to surge. The estimates are staggering. Some studies suggest the sea rose by as much as 14 to 80 meters in just 350 years. That's an average of 5 centimeters per year. In some decades, the rise could have been even more extreme, perhaps over a meter a decade. Imagine living on a flat coastal plain. Every year, the high tide mark creeps further inland, not by inches, but by feet, sometimes even yards. Ancestral hunting grounds become brackish swamps. Freshwater sources turn salty. Familiar landscapes disappear with each passing season. This wasn't a gradual change they could easily adapt to. It was a relentless, terrifying invasion by the sea. The 4 great river systems that once flowed across Sundaland became estuaries, then wide marine channels. The lowlands were the first to go, turning into a maze of islands and waterways. Families would have been forced to retreat, generation after generation, constantly moving to higher ground. The world their ancestors knew, the very ground beneath their feet, was literally dissolving into the ocean. It must have felt like the world was ending. It is no wonder that this catastrophic event is believed to have been seared into the collective memory of the survivors, passed down through generations as oral histories. These histories, over thousands of years, likely evolved into the great flood myths we see across the region and, indeed, around the world. From the story of Manu in India to the Epic of Gilgamesh in Mesopotamia, cultures globally have foundational stories about a great flood that wiped the slate clean, sent by displeased gods to punish humanity. While the details differ, the core theme is the same: a world submerged, and a few lucky survivors who carry forward the flame of civilization. Could the memory of Sundaland's drowning be the historical seed for these widespread legends? It's a compelling idea. The people who fled the rising waters didn't just disappear. They immigrated. Some moved north into mainland Asia. Others took to the sea, becoming the ancestors of the great seafaring peoples of the Pacific. They carried their stories with them, stories of a lost homeland, a paradise drowned by the wrath of the ocean. They found submerged shorelines and hoped to one day find the preserved remains of settlements, the silent witnesses to this great inundation. This isn't just an ancient story, it's a profound warning. The drowning of Sundaland was a natural event, driven by the planet's climate cycles. Today, we are witnessing another period of rapid global warming, but this time, it's driven by us. The ice sheets in Greenland and Antarctica are once again melting at an accelerating rate. The people of Sundaland had no choice but to flee. They didn't understand the planetary forces at play. They could only react. The story of Sundaland is not just a fascinating piece of prehistory. It is a stark reminder of the immense power of our planet's climate and the fragility of human civilization in the face of a rising sea. It shows us, in dramatic fashion, what the world looks like when it melts. Have you ever heard of Atlantis, Plato's legendary island? A powerful civilization that vanished beneath the waves in a single day and night. For centuries, explorers have searched for this lost city everywhere from the Mediterranean to the Caribbean. But what if the real Atlantis wasn't where we'd been looking? What if its story is an echo, a distant memory of a real-world catastrophe that happened thousands of miles away in Southeast Asia? Some researchers believe Plato's Atlantis story may echo memories from a vast, now submerged continent called Sunken. Imagine a landmass twice the size of India, connecting modern-day Sumatra, Java, Borneo, and mainland Southeast Asia. It was a tropical paradise, a cradle of civilization. But then, the Ice Age ended. Glaciers melted, and sea levels rose dramatically, swallowing this enormous land in a geological blink of an eye. Sound familiar? A great civilization, a thriving land, lost to the sea. Let's look at the parallels. Plato described Atlantis as a large island, beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which many interpret as the Strait of Gibraltar. But for ancient sailors, Pillars of Hercules could have been a generic term for any passage leading to an unknown ocean. Sundaland was indeed a massive island or subcontinent, situated beyond the Strait of Malacca, leading into the vast Pacific. Plato also mentioned Atlantis had a mild climate and was rich in exotic animals, like elephants, and abundant in valuable metals and minerals. Sundaland, with its tropical environment, was home to a megafauna that included ancient elephants, and the region today is famous for its tin, gold, and other resources. The timeline is also intriguing. Plato, writing around 360 BC, placed the sinking of Atlantis about 9,000 years before his time. That puts the event around 9,600 BC. This date aligns astonishingly well with a major geological event known as Meltwater Pulse 1b, a period of rapid sea level rise that occurred between 11,500 and 11,000 years ago, precisely when Sundaland was being catastrophically inundated. One of the main proponents of this theory is the late Professor Aurelio Santos, a Brazilian nuclear physicist and geologist. He dedicated 30 years to this research, arguing in his book Atlantis, the lost continent finally found that Sundaland was the geographical and historical basis for the Atlantis myth. He pointed to geological evidence, ancient myths from the region, and linguistic traces to build his case. Another key figure, author Stephen Oppenheimer, in his book Eden in the East, also argues that the flooding of Sundaland was a major cataclysmic event that dispersed its advanced inhabitants across the globe, carrying their stories and knowledge with them. These stories, passed down through countless generations and across vast distances, could have eventually reached ancient Greece, where Plato recorded a fragmented version of the tale. Think about how myths travel. A story of a great flood and a lost homeland could easily be adapted and retold as people migrated. The core elements remain a powerful kingdom, a divine punishment, a cataclysmic flood, but the names and locations change to fit the new cultural context. The story of Sundaland's demise could have traveled westward along ancient trade routes, morphing and evolving until it reached the ears of an Egyptian priest who, according to Plato, told the story to the Athenian lawmaker Solon. The level of technology Plato describes, complex organized armies, and monumental architecture, doesn't match what we currently know about societies in Southeast Asia 11,000 years ago, which were primarily hunter-gatherer communities. Scholars also argue that the similarities are just coincidences. Flood myths are common in cultures all over the world because floods are a common and devastating natural disaster. They contend that trying to pinpoint a single geographical location for Atlantis is a fool's errand, as Plato's story was likely a philosophical allegory about the ideal state and the dangers of hubris, not a historical account. They also question the transmission of the story, the idea that a detailed memory of an event could survive for 9,000 years through oral tradition before being written down is a major hurdle. While the core of a story might survive, specific details like the size of armies or the layout of a city are almost certain to be lost or embellished beyond recognition. For most historians, Atlantis remains firmly in the realm of myth. So, where does that leave us? On one side, we have tantalizing geological and chronological coincidences. On the other, a lack of hard archaeological proof and the skepticism of the academic establishment. An astonishing 90% of ancient Southeast Asia is still underwater, a vast, unexplored territory holding the secrets of our early ancestors. The next chapter in the search for Sundaland's lost world is about diving for gold in mythical cities. It's about pioneering science and cutting-edge technology. The game changer is LiDAR light detection and ranging by flying planes over dense jungle canopies and firing millions of laser pulses toward the ground. Archaeologists can digitally strip away the vegetation to reveal the contours of the earth beneath. This technology has already revolutionized archaeology in places like the Amazon and Cambodia, uncovering entire cities hidden for centuries. Now, imagine applying a similar principle underwater. Marine archaeologists are using advanced sonar mapping and sub-bottom profilers to peer through the seabed. High-resolution multi-beam sonar can create detailed 3D maps of the ocean floor, revealing ancient river channels, coastlines, and potentially signs of human settlement. Satellite altimetry, which measures the height of the sea surface with incredible precision, can detect subtle gravitational anomalies caused by underwater structures, guiding researchers to promising locations. Autonomous underwater vehicles, or AUVs, can then be sent down to investigate these sites up close, capturing high-definition images and collecting samples without risking human divers in deep, dangerous waters. So, what do scientists expect to find in the coming decades? They aren't necessarily looking for Plato's concentric rings of canals. They're looking for more subtle clues, submerged stone tools, the foundations of ancient dwellings, fossilized mangrove forests that were once on the coast, or even preserved human remains in anaerobic low-oxygen environments. Finding a single, irrefutable, human-made object in a dated sediment layer from 12,000 years ago on the submerged Sundaland shelf would be a world-changing discovery. Such a find would completely rewrite our understanding of human history. It would prove that sophisticated maritime cultures existed thousands of years earlier than previously thought. It could confirm that the dispersal of Austronesian languages, one of the most widespread language families on Earth, originated from this submerged heartland. The impact on global history would be profound, shifting our focus from the traditional cradles of civilization in Mesopotamia and Egypt to the tropical shores of prehistoric Southeast Asia. Ultimately, the quest for Sundaland is about more than just finding Atlantis. It's about understanding our own resilience and adaptability as a species. It forces us to confront the awesome power of nature and the reality of climate change, a force that displaced our ancestors on a continental scale and continues to shape our world today. The people of Sundaland weren't just victims of a flood. They were survivors. They adapted, they migrated, they carried their stories and their genes across the oceans. As we look to the future of this research, we are not just looking for a lost world. We are looking for a lost chapter of the human story. A chapter that reminds us that civilizations rise and fall, that the earth beneath our feet is not as stable as it seems, and that the greatest discoveries may still lie waiting, hidden beneath the waves. The secrets of Sundaland are calling, and with each new technological leap, we get closer to hearing its answers. It was a real massive landmass that existed tens of thousands of years ago, a place that's now mostly submerged beneath the waves. To find this lost world, we don't need a treasure map or a mystical compass. We just need to follow the ancient climate. The story of Sundaland is written in the earth itself, into silent, deep archives of our planet's history. These cores are like time capsules, layer by layer. They trap microscopic fossils of tiny marine organisms. Called for the chemical makeup of their shells changes with the ocean's temperature. By analyzing these shells, we can create a detailed temperature log stretching back hundreds of thousands of years. It is this log that tells us when the Earth was cold enough to lock vast amounts of water into giant ice sheets, causing sea levels to plummet and exposing the land that would become sun. These ocean cores reveal a dramatic history of ice ages. During the last glacial maximum, around 20,000 years ago, global sea levels were about 120 meters, or nearly 400 feet, lower than they are today. This incredible drop in sea level didn't just create a bit of extra beach, it exposed a huge expanse of the continental shelf in Southeast Asia. To understand what that world looked like, we need to look at another type of clue. Ancient pollen and sediment, preserved in the layers of old lake beds and coastal plains. Fossilized pollen grains tell us exactly what kinds of plants grew there. Each plant species has a unique pollen signature, like a tiny fingerprint. By identifying these pollen fossils, paleobotanists can reconstruct entire ancient forests. The evidence from Sundaland points to a complex mosaic of ecosystems. Close to the retreating shorelines, you'd find mangrove swamps. Further inland, open savanna grasslands stretched 4 miles, dotted with patches of woodland. This wasn't the dense, close canopy rainforest we see in the region today. It was a more open, varied landscape. Why the difference? The climate was not only cooler, but also significantly drier. The vast ice sheets to the north altered global weather patterns, reducing rainfall across the tropics. This drier climate favored grasslands and open woodlands over thirsty rainforests. These animals weren't confined to islands. They roamed freely across the vast expanse of Sundaland, following the seasonal growth of grasses and leaves. And where there are herbivores, there are predators. Sundaland was home to big cats, including ancestors of today's tigers and clouded leopards. There were also giant hyenas and packs of wild dogs, or does. Fossils of these animals paint a picture of a complete and dynamic ecosystem, a Serengeti of Southeast Asia. But it wasn't just animals that called this place home. Early modern humans were there too. Archaeological sites across the region, from the Naya Caves in Borneo, 2 sites in peninsular Malaysia, contained stone tools and human remains, dating back over 40,000 years. For these early hunter-gatherers, Sundaland was a land of immense opportunity. The open plains were rich with game, and the extensive coastlines and river systems provided abundant fish, shellfish, and other marine resources. They were not just surviving, they were thriving. But the world never stays the same. The great rivers that once crossed Sundaland became wider, deeper estuaries. The coastline wasn't just moving inland, it was advancing at a rate of several meters per year in some places. Generation after generation would have witnessed their ancestral hunting grounds disappearing beneath the waves. This rising water acted as a powerful force, shaping human destiny. As the land shrank, river valleys flooded and became sea channels, isolating populations on what would become the islands we know today. This fragmentation is visible in the genetics of both people and animals across the region, showing common ancestry followed by long periods of isolation. The Sunda Strait, which now separates Java and Sumatra, and the Kalimantan Strait, between Sumatra and Borneo, were once river valleys. As the seas rose, the climate also shifted again. The world became warmer and, crucially, wetter. The ecosystem we see today in Southeast Asia, dense jungle. The unique tree-dwelling species is a direct consequence of Sundaland's drowning. Sundaland didn't just vanish, it transformed. It became a paradise of a different kind. The rising seas created one of the most biodiverse marine environments on the planet, the Coral Triangle, and the coming of the rains created the megadiverse rainforests of Borneo and Sumatra. The story of Sundaland is a powerful reminder that our planet is in a constant state of flux. The coastlines we see on maps are not permanent fixtures, but transient features in a long geological story. Story of how climate change can create and destroy entire continents, forcing life, including our own ancestors, to adapt or perish. It's a history written not in books, but in the very fabric of the earth. Thanks for joining me on this journey back in time to the lost continent of Sun. If you found this fascinating, please like this video, subscribe for more stories from our planet's deep past, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration. See you next time.